So probably the earliest explanation were spiritual explanations, believing that mental illness was caused by demons or some sort of spiritual conflict in the person. And this explanation makes intuitive sense when you consider that some people with schizophrenia have spiritual themes in their delusions. And so it makes sense that if someone was muttering under their breath and talking about the gods and demons and so on, that you would attribute what they were going through to perhaps being possessed. So that was probably the earliest understanding, and this understanding has cropped up over time, and even to this day, some societies and some people within the Australian context believe that mental illness is caused by spirituality. So, for example, in the Bible, the New Testament, there's stories of Jesus healing people who probably have schizophrenia, and the way Jesus healed, according to the Bible, was to cast out the demons that they were possessed with. So a great leap forward for the understanding of medicine and mental health was Hippocrates. He differentiated things of the spirit and things of the body, and was able to say some things are caused by imbalances simply within the body. And his explanations was that the fluids within the body, the blood and the phlegm and the yellow bile and the black bile within our body were not in balance. And if you had too much of them, you would express personality differences or perhaps symptoms of depression. And some of these explanations, we can see the residue of them today. For example, the term phlegmatic often means to be a bit depressed or sad, and that comes from Hippocrates, who said that this was caused by having too much phlegm, hence phlegmatic. So the psychological approach is probably the newest approach in understanding mental illness, and it has a long history. I suppose the key figure in the development of the psychological approach is Freud. He developed the structure of the mind, that is the id, the ego, and the superego. And he was the first person to make the psychological approach, or thrust the psychological approach into the mainstream. And since then, there's been other developments in terms of understanding it psychologically, and certainly having an emphasis, as Freud did, on simply the id, ego, and superego, isn't emphasized as much today. Yet it's really interesting to see how the psychological approach has evolved over time. Today, we take more of a cognitive approach, and instead of Freud's approach, which was talking about childhood and understanding perhaps childhood and internal conflicts, today we take the cognitive behavior therapy approach to both understanding mental disorders and treating them, and that's talking about more present day concerns of the individual rather than delving into their history.